In the quiet hours of a moonlit night, deep in the heart of a Navy SEAL base on the Virginia coast, the world felt still. The ocean waves whispered against the shore, a soft rhythm that matched the slow breath of the sleeping barracks. Stars dotted the sky like forgotten fireflies, and the air carried the salty tang of the sea mixed with the faint scent of pine from nearby woods. It was the kind of night where stories came alive, passed from one generation of warriors to the next, around a flickering campfire or under the dim glow of a porch light. Veteran SEALs gathered there sometimes, after the day's grueling drills. They sat on weathered benches, their faces etched with lines from years of sun, sand, and sacrifice. Among them was Old Man Harris, a retired Master Chief with a voice like gravel smoothed by time. He leaned back, his eyes distant, as if peering into the past. "Listen up," he'd say, his words unhurried, giving space for the night sounds to fill the gaps. "There's legends in these teams that ain't written in no book. One of 'em is about the ghost shooter. No rank, no name, but every SEAL who saw him saluted." The younger ones, like Jake Thompson, would perk up then. Jake was 25, fresh from Bud's training, with broad shoulders and a quiet determination. He hailed from a small town in Ohio, where cornfields stretched forever and dreams of heroism pulled him to the Navy. But lately, doubt had crept in, slow and steady, like fog rolling over the water. He'd botched a night op simulation last week, missed a shot that could have saved his team. The instructors chewed him out, but worse was the silence from his buddies. Jake felt it deep, that nagging fear. Was he cut out for this? Could he ever measure up to the giants whose shadows loomed over the SEAL legacy? As the fire crackled, Harris continued, his tone even, like a gentle stream. "It started back in the 90s, or maybe earlier, and no one knows for sure. We were in the desert, sandstorms howling like banshees. Our platoon was pinned down by enemy fire, bullets zipping past like angry hornets. We lost comms, ammo running low. That's when he appeared. Out of the dust, a figure in ghillie suit, blending with the shadows. He set up on a ridge, silent as a ghost. One shot, two, three, each one dropped a threat, precise, like he knew their hearts before they beat." Jake leaned forward, the warmth of the fire on his face. He could picture it, the heat of the sun-baked earth, the metallic taste of fear in the air. Harris paused, letting the image settle, before going on. "We never saw his face, no insignia on his gear, but when the dust cleared, he vanished." Every man there saluted the empty ridge. Word spread like wildfire through the teams. The ghost shooter. He'd show up in the thick of Afghanistan mountains, Iraqi streets, even jungle ops in South America. Always the same, no words, no glory, just salvation. The group fell quiet then, the waves providing a natural pause. Jake stared into the flames, his mind wandering. He thought of his own misses, the way his rifle felt heavy in his hands during quals. What if he froze in real combat? What if he let his brothers down? It was a relatable ache, one every new SEAL felt, the weight of expectation, the fear of not being enough. Back in his bunk that night, Jake lay awake, the legend echoing in his thoughts. The base was hushed, save for the occasional creak of a door or the distant call of a night bird. He wondered if the ghost was real, or just a story to inspire the weary. Days turned into weeks, the rhythm of training steady and unforgiving. Dawn runs along the beach, where the sand pulled at your boots like reluctant hands. Underwater swims in the cold Atlantic, breath held until stars danced in your vision. Jake pushed through, but the doubt lingered. A quiet companion, his team leader, Mike Reynolds, noticed. Mike was 32, from Texas, with a drawl that could calm a storm. "You're thinking too much, kid," he'd say during breaks, clapping Jake on the shoulder. "SEALs ain't born perfect, we grind it out." One evening, after a long day of marksmanship drills, Jake wandered the base alone. The sun dipped low, painting the sky in soft oranges and pinks, like a watercolor left to dry. He found himself at the old shooting range, overgrown with weeds at the edges, where retired gear gathered dust. The air smelled of gun oil and earth. He picked up his spare rifle, sighting down the barrel at distant targets, silhouettes against the fading light. His shots rang out, crisp and echoing, but one went wide, kicking up dirt. Frustration bubbled up, slow and hot. "Why can't I get this right? he muttered to the empty range. That's when he heard a soft footstep behind him. Jake turned, heart skipping a beat. There stood a man, older, maybe in his 50s, with weathered skin and eyes like polished steel. He wore faded fatigues, no patches, no name tape, just a simple cap pulled low. "Easy there, son," the man said, his voice low and steady, like wind through tall grass. "Your grip's too tight, loosen up, let the rifle breathe with you." Jake blinked, lowering the weapon. "Who are you?" "This range is off limits after hours." The man smiled faintly, lines crinkling around his eyes. "Just passing through." "Name's Tom, used to shoot here myself." He stepped closer, movements unhurried, and adjusted Jake's stance with gentle hands. "Breathe in. Hold. Exhale slow. Feel the pulse in your finger, not the trigger." They spent the next hour like that, the world narrowing to the rhythm of shots. Tom's advice was simple: watch the wind, trust your gut, let go of the noise in your head. Jake's groupings tightened, bullets finding their mark with a satisfying ping. As dusk deepened, stars emerging one by one, Jake felt a shift, a quiet confidence budding inside. But questions nagged. "You a vet? What team were you on?" Tom paused, staring at the horizon where sea met sky. "Teams don't matter much after a while. It's the moments that count, the ones where you save a brother, even if no one knows your name." He turned then, his gaze piercing. "Heard the stories about the ghost shooter?" Jake nodded, a chill running down his spine despite the warm evening. "Yeah, legend says he shows up when needed most." Tom chuckled softly, the sound blending with the lapping waves. "Legends got roots in truth. Sometimes, it's just a man doing what he must. No fanfare, no rank, no name." He handed Jake a small token, a worn brass casing from a sniper round, etched with faint scratches. "Keep practicing, you'll find your shot." With that, Tom walked away, fading into the shadows of the pines. Jake called after him, but the man was gone, like mist burned off by morning sun. Back at the barracks, Jake turned the casing over in his hands, mind racing. Was it possible? The description feeds no insignia, appearing out of nowhere. But Tom had a name, a face. Or did he? Jake shook his head, slipping the token into his pocket. Sleep came easier that night, the doubt easing like a tide going out. The next mission sim came soon after a night insertion exercise in the nearby swamps. Humidity hung thick, mosquitoes buzzing like tiny drones. Jake's team moved through the muck, boots sucking at the mud, hearts pounding in unison. They hit resistance mock enemies with paint rounds. Chaos erupted, shouts, flashes, the sting of hits. Jake's squad mate, young Luis from California, went down in the sim, wounded and exposed. In that moment, time slowed. Jake remembered Tom's words, breathe, trust. He dropped to a knee, rifle steady, the swamp's chorus of frogs and crickets fading to a hum. One shot cracked through the night, paint splattering the enemy target. Then another. His team rallied, pulling Luis to safety. They won the op, emerging muddy and triumphant. Mike slapped him on the back later, grinning wide. That was ghost-level shootin'. Thompson, where'd that come from? Jake smiled, touching the casing in his pocket. Just practicin'. Word spread quietly through the base, as stories do. Jake's shot became a small legend of its own, inspiring the rookies. But the gentle twist came weeks later, during a base memorial for fallen SEALs. Harris was there. Speaking of unsung heroes, Jake approached him afterward, under the soft glow of lanterns swaying in the breeze. "Sir, ever meet the ghost shooter?" Harris eyed him, a knowing glint in his gaze. "Met a few who fit the bill." "Why?" Jake described tome of the range, the advice, the vanishing. Harris nodded slowly, his voice dropping. "Sounds familiar." "Thing is, the ghost ain't one man. It's the spirit in all of USA, the quiet helper who steps up. No glory needed. But that token? I've seen casings like that before. Passed down from vets who were there in the early days." Jake's breath caught. So Tom was real. Perhaps one of many who embodied the legend. Or maybe the ghost himself, retired and wandering, sharing wisdom in the shadows. It didn't matter. The truth was emotional, grounded in the bonds of brotherhood. Jake felt a deep warmth that chased away the last of his doubts. He wasn't alone in his struggles. The legacy was a chain, linking past to present. Years passed, The base unchanging yet ever-evolving, Jake rose through the ranks, becoming a team leader like Mike. He told the story around campfires now, his voice steady and slow, pauses letting the night breathe. No rank, no name, but every SEAL saluted. And in quiet moments, he'd pull out the casing, remembering Toma or the Ghosta, and salute the empty air. The legend lived on, a reminder that heroes walk among us, often unseen. Jake found peace in that, his path clear, his heart full. The ocean waves rolled on, eternal and calm, carrying the whispers of ghosts and men alike.